Welcome to this example here. We're going to take a look at, there we go, an example where we have a fractional coefficient in front of our variable and how we solve for x in this situation. So let's start off with looking at the example. You'll notice that we have some numbers. We have a coefficient that is a fraction. It happens to be a negative fraction even, which makes it even more fun, in front of our x value. We want to try to solve for what value of x is going to make this work. Now, be aware that we might get a fractional value, which is okay. We can have fractions. That's totally fine as a number. If you want to switch into a decimal, that works too, but make sure that we're trying to be as accurate as possible, and fractions do that much better than decimals do. So first step that we're going to do is what I like to do, at least, is I like to try to get rid of all of the terms that are constants, or I try to remove them as quick as possible. So on the right-hand side of this equation, we have a -5 or a subtracting 5, and I like to get rid of that first. And to do that, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. If we subtract 5 on one side and we add 5, it cancels out and becomes 0. And on the other side, we have to do the same thing because that's to keep things balanced. And so we're going to end up with 3 is equal to -3 over 2x. Now that's something that you've probably done in the past, or you might have done in the past, as you work up and become a little more comfortable with linear functions and solving linear functions. Now, a part that would be a little bit new for this question, or that I want to focus on this question, is looking at that fraction, the -3 over 2 in front of x. Now, normally when we have a number in front of a variable, we need to divide by that number in order to get rid of it. You could divide by -3 over 2, but that tends to be something that most students are not a big fan of, and that's okay. We can do a two-step process, which tends to be a little bit easier to go through. So the first thing that I'm going to do in this case here is remove the denominator. To do that, we need to multiply by the denominator. I'm going to multiply by 2. When we do this, -3 over 2 times 2 is going to leave us with -3. 3 times 2 is 6, so that's on the left-hand side. But what we're left with here is 6 is equal to -3x. You'll notice that the numerator of the fraction did not change. All I did was get rid of the denominator by multiplying by 2. Okay, just got rid of the denominator. The next step now, and this is where, again, trying to break a more complex step into two simpler steps will hopefully help you. But now what we want to do is divide both sides by the coefficient. Be very careful that you divide both sides by -3, okay? Because if you don't, you're going to get a negative x. And we need to get rid of that negative in front of the x because we want x all by itself. So we divide by -3. 6 divided by -3 is going to be -2. So our x value is -2. And if we were to take this and plug this back into our equation, we would get that both sides would be equal to -2 as we go through this process. So make sure we follow our steps properly, that we do everything the way that mathematically states we should, okay? And then we should be able to get this correct answer as well. All the best as you keep trying.